The Yankees have a golden opportunity to shore up a position of need by adding a low risk, high reward player that can help rejuvenate his career in one of the biggest markets in sports. We'll break down what this player possesses and how they could become a very viable option in October for the Bronx Bombers. What's going on, guys? Alex Brooks back here on Yankees Digest, giving you guys a daily dose of Yankees content every day of the week. And if you guys are not subscribed, if you're part of that 76% who aren't subscribed to these videos, you guys better hit that subscribe button, comment down below. We just reached over 8,000 subscribers, so we are on the road to 10,000 subscribers on the channel. We really appreciate all your support, but subscribe, comment down below to join in on this conversation. The trade deadline is right around the corner, about a week away from the best event in MLB. But let's get right into this video as talking about Dylan Cease. John Heyman reported today that the Padres are reportedly listening on trades for the right-hander. The Yankees, Mets, Cubs, and Red Sox are among the teams to check in. So the Yankees, Cubs, Mets, Red Sox, they're all vying for playoff positioning at this point, and they all could definitely use someone like Dylan Cease, a veteran guy who has been around the block and been in October games before, and he could definitely be a very good option for the New York Yankees behind Carlos Rodon and Max Fried. And a little bit more on the right-hander from the San Diego Padres. I mean, Dylan Cease, he's a very interesting cat. He's a very interesting guy when talking about just his career, because he has the ability to be one of the top flight pitchers in this game. He has the ability to be an ace, but this season he has fallen very short of that. He's having one of his worst seasons of his career. Not really sure why. The home run numbers are up, the walk numbers are up, but he still has the strikeout ability to be one of the most effective pitchers in baseball. So he definitely has that high upside and that high ceiling when talking about Dylan Cease, but he is just not putting it all together. And if he is going to be someone that the Yankees can look at as a low risk, high reward type of player, because he's only in a contract year, he's going to walk in free agency, be a free agent after this season. So he's definitely going to look to perform in the playoffs and perform on a contender. And just a little bit more on his season so far. This was from The Score. It was Simon Sharkey Gottlieb at The Score. Said Cease, who started and lost Wednesday's series finale against the Miami Marlins, has spent the last two seasons in San Diego after being acquired in spring of 2024. The 29-year-old finished fourth in NL Cy Young voting and threw a no-hitter last season, but owns a career-high 4.59 ERA and 1.30 whip over 21 starts in 2025. Still, Cease remains one of the game's best strikeout artists. His 144 Ks and 11.4 K per nine both place second in the National League. And Dylan Cease just is someone that I am very, very intrigued with and very excited about the possibility to add to this Yankees rotation, because he has that experience. He has been around the MLB for a while, and he's experienced the highs of highs by getting a no-hitter last season and dominating in a Chicago market. A San Diego market now has the opportunity to be in one of these big markets like New York, and being able to not really have much of the pressure like he would have in San Diego, being one of the top flight starters in San Diego, where he could just kind of be the number 3, number 4 starter behind Rodon and Fried and be able to dominate there. So definitely interesting when talking about Dylan Cease. And just a little bit more on his stats so far this season. They're not pretty when looking at it at face value. 3-9 with a 4.64 ERA in 20 games started. He has 139 strikeouts. After the loss against the Marlins tonight, he's 3-10 with 144 strikeouts. So when just looking at these stats face value, not what you want to see. But as I mentioned before, he is in a contract year, so the Yankees can definitely mold him. They have Matt Blake, who is one of the best pitching coaches in the MLB. He's been able to help out Fried, Rodon, kind of get them back to where they were earlier in their careers. And I'm confident enough in Blake to help Dylan Cease out to get the most out of him. And it's really something where Dylan Cease, we know he has the strikeout ability. It's just the command, and Matt Blake can definitely mold him into helping him tweak some things out to become that tight flight starter once again. And just looking over his career, he's a 4.59 ERA this year, but last year he had a 3.47. But when you look at 2022 in Chicago, he had his best year at 14-8 with a 2.20 ERA. Just a guy who has that Cy Young caliber stuff. And we've had Cy Young guys, Carlos Rodon, Max Fried, Gerrit Cole, who was on the IL. If you're going to add another guy who is a veteran, who cost you a little more with 13 million, but having that little bit of a low risk right now, you can definitely mold him and tweak some things that can get him ready for the high pressure games in October. And the Yankees are looking to add someone who can have that experience. When you're looking at other pitchers, they may have not had the experience that Dylan Cease has and other pitchers in the rotation like Rodon and Fried had in the playoffs. So you want to have someone who's had experience in the playoffs, but also has experience at being one of the top flight starters. And Dylan Cease definitely intrigues me as a Yankees fan to get him in this building. And, just kind of comparing him to the Justin Verlander of 2017. So looking back to 2017 when Justin Verlander was on the Tigers and then he got traded over to Houston, he wasn't having as bad of a season as Dylan Cease is having, but up to his standards, that wasn't the best season for him. He was at 10-8 with a 3.82 ERA, not having his best season. But once he went to Houston, once he went to a perennial World Series, the eventual World Series champion, he flat out dominated and became the shutdown pitcher that he was earlier in his career. 5-0 with a 1.06 ERA. And that's something that I believe that we can get a little bit of taste of with Dylan Cease working with Matt Blake, working with the pitching coach and the pitching staff for the New York Yankees to help mold him into that Cy Young caliber player once again. And, just looking at this pitching rotation so far, you have Fried, you have Rodon, you have Schlittler, who has been doing really well in his first two starts. And then when you're talking about, Stroman, he's been able to carry his own. And then also Will Warren has just struggled a little bit as of late. So you're wanting to have another guy, a third pitcher that you can throw in there in a possible game five or game three best of five series for the Yankees. But, just looking at this pitching rotation and the pitching staff so far this season, this was from Sports Illustrated. Ryan Phillips at Sports Illustrated talking about the rotation, what Cease brings. Says, as a group, New York starters ranked 7th in ERA, 3.74, but they didn't have the rotation depth to win a World Series. Cease has the kind of elite stuff that can show up in October. While he struggled in the 2024 postseason, his average fastball velocity, 97.1 miles per hour, ranks 5th in MLB among starting pitching, and his slider was one of the best pitches in baseball in 2024. A few tweaks could have him dominating hitters again. And when looking at just what these stats are for the Yankees and what Cease can kind of add to that, the Yankees are ranking 14th in ERA. Obviously, adding Cease will kind of make that a little bit more because he's not having the best season. But when you're looking at strikeouts, 892 strikeouts among the pitching staff. That's including the bullpen, but you're adding so many more strikeouts with Cease at 144, and you're adding a guy who can go the distance, a guy who's used to going the distance and giving you 6-7 innings of quality baseball. And I can't really say much more about Dylan Cease and how he can develop and how he can be a really great pitcher in pinstripes. But what do you guys think regarding Dylan Cease? Do you think he's going to have an impact for the Yankees if the Yankees can get a low risk, high reward type of player in Dylan Cease. And, just looking at the prospects that the Yankees could trade away just for Dylan Cease, the Padres are an interesting team because they're obviously going for buying more than selling, but they're probably just trying to get some sort of value out of Dylan Cease because he hasn't been doing well in San Diego. I believe that the Yankees are going to throw in Everson Pereira. I've been saying it before in trade rumors. I think Pereira is definitely an option that the Yankees can go with. And I think just because he's MLB ready and the Padres could probably try to take advantage of that with Pereira. But I do think that they're going to throw in one of their right-handed pitchers, maybe like Cade Smith or Perez, the catcher, first baseman hybrid. Definitely some guy that the Yankees are going to want to throw in just to entice it a little bit more. None of their top prospects that I'm thinking, like Schlittler, Lombard, or Jones, but definitely one of these low-end prospects that the Yankees can throw in to end up getting the low-risk, high-reward type player like Dylan Cease. So, yeah, it's definitely very interesting when talking about Cease and what he can bring to this Yankees rotation. Rodon, Fried, and Cease, when looking at it at face value, that hypes me up as a Yankee fan. But what do you guys think regarding Cease? I think he can add some juice and be a little bit more of a rejuvenation story in the Bronx. But that's going to do it for another edition of Yankees Digest. Appreciate all the support you guys are giving us on the channel. And everyone, let's go Yankees.